Welcome back to That's a Wrap, your favorite movie podcast. I'm your host, and so is she. And that's our producer, Casey!
Oh, that was good.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Welcome, everybody.
To That's a Wrap.
To That's a Wrap. It is our second episode.
And we're so glad to be back.
I was so excited. Today, we might as well just introduce the movie that we're talking about today, because it's the talk of the town right now.
We're talking about Gladiator 2.
Yes! That's so good!
Are you not entertained?
Gladiator 1 is one of my favorite movies in the entire world. It was just such a gigantic staple. And it's one of those movies that you watch, you can't get over it, and you feel like you've been to war. Or want to go to war by the end of it.
It's a movie where you feel like you've lived a life. When the credits roll, you're like, wow, I've changed so much.
Yeah, you've lived 100 lives by the end of it, and then you want to do it again. Oh my God! We got mugs!
We got mugs! Clinkers.
Ready?
Clinkies.
See? Raidyn got to show it off. That's a wrap with Rachel and Raidyn.
How do people do hauls on TikTok?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but there's no focus. But you anyway.
It's just and we're going to do
Here we are.
Today? Yeah, here we are. I never understood that. What the hell is this?
Well, it's because there's usually a focus, and by putting your hand, it puts this in the foreground.
I thought it was just them trying to be fancy.
Well, that too. Rachel, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
All the time. Do you know what? Okay, so here's the thing. Me and Raidyn went to the theater. We're just going to jump back. Okay. We went to the theater, and Raidyn's like, he's already seen this before me. He's like, Rach, I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for what Gladiator 2 is going to... I'm like, oh, I'm ready. I've been waiting my whole life.
Well, were you?
Yes, and also no, because Paul...
Grab the table.
Muad'Dib
Casey, I love you.
There's no words.
We're not talking about Dune today. We're talking about Gladiator 2.
Mescal.
Paul Mescal, wee little Irish lad from the land of Ireland.
I don't know what to no.
Blown away.
It just makes you think. All of a sudden, you. Yeah, I was just saying.
I'm gonna let you collect yourself.
I'm gonna collect yourself. I need to collect myself because that man is a beautiful human being, and he walked on the stage, and the minute he says to his wife, "Okay, here's the thing. I'm an absolute romantic sap. You know this. Everybody who knows me knows this."
I had a feeling when I was like, Rachel, you're gonna love Paul Mescal in this movie. She does.
I do. Maybe a little too much. I don't know. But he says to his wife, there's this beautiful moment, okay, where it's before they both go to war. And first of all, I love that the women fight alongside their men. Yes.
Yeah, it felt like such a sign of the times. I mean, even I won't cut too far ahead, but Acacia says, "I've seen so many great, brave men and women fight for Rome." It's something you wouldn't have heard 20 years ago. So the fact that the movie
actually,
was
that actually happened.
Progressive. Yeah.
What I love is Ridley Scott. So creative mastermind that man is. Everything in that movie, he wanted to be as authentic as possible, and we'll get more into detail, I guess, about it. But women did fight alongside their men. They just weren't talked about maybe as much nowadays but back then that was a normal thing. Even in my own ancestry, I have Norwegian ancestry. Vikings, women fought alongside their men always. It was a team effort. So it's only in these past, century that it's all of a sudden become not normalized.
Sure. Well, I think we're in a great time. I think this movie's just one of many of movies,
But when he says
taking
to her,
the power back.
They give each other their rings. And he says to her, and he's like, "Wherever you are, I am too." And then she says it back to him, and I'm just at that moment, I'm like, I don't know what to do.
No.
I struggled.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And he's pretty new. He was doing a show on not Broadway, West End in London. I think he was doing Streetcar Named Desire, and they just saw him He's done a few indies, but this is his first big feature Hollywood film.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to see him in more stuff.
And he said that he had sat down with, like, he got a call. He was flown to LA, and he's like, and I got to sit and talk to Ridley Scott. And he's like, I was expecting to get maybe 5-10 minutes out of this guy, just be like, are you interested, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I was a nerd. I asked so many questions, and Ridley is 85,
right.
May we add.
Yeah.
85 years old, and this man has not stopped. Like, hats off to this gentleman.
He's walking
incredible.
And talking like he's like 50 at least.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Because when you do what you love every day, you don't work a day in your life.
No.
Keeps you young. It keeps you creative and on the ball.
Yeah.
I love it. No, but he says he got like a full half hour from the guy just asking questions, and then
they were talking about
screen test. No. He just got the role.
They were talking about Gaelic football apparently.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, that is
awesome.
So amazing. No, and Pedro Pascal who played
Acacius.
He was also he had the same kind of experience. And Denzel just got a phone call.
Of course.
Denzel,
of course.
Denzel, he's like, are you interested?
He was like,
am I interested?
I'll tell you something. I'm interested. Of course, I'll do your movie, Ridley. That's my Denzel impression.
Holy shit!
I've never done that before in my life.
You've never done that before? And you just landed it like it was, you've been practicing it your whole life?
He's got these mannerisms. I love him. You know what I love about Denzel? I think there's a thing where he doesn't do accents. It's like a thing about him. And in this movie, he didn't do the British accent, even though that's historically inaccurate to Roman accents. But even so, without an accent, he just doesn't need it. Like, he's the character regardless.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
The commitment of every single actor on that set. And actually, I found out something incredible. I basically cried the entire time I watched the movie. Raidyn can attest to this. I wish
I had tissues because she was making the people uncomfortable around us. You know? It's like, you're making my seat wet.
No! You're like, Rach, stop. God. No! It just was fucking amazing.
No, it was...
Pardon my language. I'm also very exhausted, so my filter's not.
Phenomenal.
No, but the first movie was huge, okay? The first movie was filmed in 2000, okay? So that set was a phenomenon the size of that set at that time. Let alone 25 years later when Gladiator 2, they finally had started the second one. Denzel Washington, I remember him saying in an interview, he's like, that was the biggest movie set I've ever been on. He says everywhere you turned, there was thousands of soldiers.
Right. Like real people.
Real people, no CGI. Ridley hated CGI. That's one thing he said. He said, I want it as authentic as possible. Everything was built. Like the Coliseum was built.
Right.
The boats.
Yeah.
Built.
Yeah.
They actually built everything. The rhino was a robot.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
Yeah. And even like all the animals, like the baboons that he fought, are real people.
And
you know,
all based off of true events that happened in the Roman Coliseum. And do you know that rhino scene was actually supposed to be in the first one?
I didn't know that, but I do know that this movie was essentially like the movie that Ridley wanted to make 20 years ago, except he didn't have like the resources to. So like that rhino scene is like something he's been scheming for the last 20 years to
But
do.
he had forgotten about it, and one of his old artistic team members from the first movie said, Ridley, do you remember this? And he put the sketch of the rhino, like the storyboard.
Oh, really? And he was like, oh, yes, yeah. I do remember.
He's like,
let's put it in the film.
He's like, we're doing that. We're doing that in the first one. And he did. And like everything, you know, the wild animals, the flooding the Coliseum with water.
Yeah.
All stuff that actually happened back then.
So I don't know what your research found, but like I know that there are some inaccuracies to that, but I know that there's what that's called is, and Casey can probably back us up for this. I don't know how much research you have, but that's called a naumachia, where they would flood the Coliseum and recreate naval battles from their history. Mm-hmm. However, the sharks definitely didn't happen.
No, but it was. But you gotta have some movie magic.
Yeah.
It's just, but the fact that the boats.
Well, I
we
think
didn't ask for your opinion. producer.
Well, I think the question you have to ask is like, what movie do you want to watch? Do you want to take a history lesson, or do you want to just like have an immersive escape and have an experience? And I just wanted to have a good time, and I think I did.
I think you have a little bit of both, and what I love is that the boats actually crashed.
Right. In real. In real.
They actually. So
in real,
it's
happened.
And Paul was even saying that it was the coolest friggin' thing.
So it's gotta be like a
water
one
was
shot.
actually splashing on top, and it was a one-shot ordeal where they actually had choreographed the two ships to collide. So like all that splintering, the wood, everything, that was full-blown real.
People left with wood in their fingers and in their face.
Actually, there was not. Okay, I also did research on injuries because I know the first movie I got Russell Crowe. Bless his heart. Oh God.
Let's take a moment.
I love that man so much.
I love you, Russell.
Yeah, I love you, Russell. He sustained actually quite a bit of injuries from the first one.
Right.
Like even in the first battle scene at the very beginning where he had the scratches on his face, those were real because the horse had taken off and gotten spooked from the bushes, so he had actually sustained some cuts on his face and like bruising on his ribs and whatever. He lost feeling in a finger for like 2 years from a combat scene. Anyway, this time around, no injuries.
From anyone.
No injuries. And the amount of training, I have this written down. Oh God, I have so many notes.
Yeah.
The training that every 6 months of training, they went to Italy and went to a training camp where it was gladiator training. So they trained with original authentic armor and old Roman weaponry.
That is so fun.
Isn't it? And you know what? I was watching. I got emotional. I did, of course, because I get emotional. But they were during the training. The guy who was leading the camp every day. He's like, Gladiator 2, you're making history. And they were all like with the shields at the time. They're like, oh, like at the same time. The entire time, I'm like, that I would pay anything to train in that camp for.
Seriously.
And they had to get used to the weight of the armor. It wasn't, they had admitted that it wasn't the full honest weight, but it was still heavy enough that it had some authenticity to it. Sure. But they had to train with the sword. It was I'm forgetting what it was called. But it was a sword that gladiators used in the ring. It was a short sword. Right.
I should know that. I feel like I know that.
No, it's okay. We'll look it up afterwards. But
a machete?
No. It was it was a gladius or something. It was
gladius.
Gladius. But no, so much physical training. And Paul had said, and you had even made this comment, and I really loved that. Not everybody that you see in that movie is like cookie cutter, cut, Calvin Klein model. They were just men. Like, I'm not saying that the men who are cut, like, it's amazing, it's wonderful. But
it's just something you don't see in Hollywood.
You don't see in Hollywood.
Hugh Jackman, like, dehydrated his skin just to look ripped in Deadpool and Wolverine. But what he did for that movie was wonderful. Like, he killed it.
Absolutely.
But what Paul brought was just like this, like, he was just a good, he was just in shape.
They were just in shape, but they were still, like, so authentic to themselves. Like, and they were strong.
Yeah.
Strong. Yeah. I can't even talk about it.
Are you sure you were in tears?
Yes, I was in tears, Casey. Yes, I was in tears. But no, even Pedro had said the intensity of the training. He said, I have trained with swords in combat before. He says, but nothing like this.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing. And this was 6 months prior to filming, and they had filmed for 51 days. 51 days, 11 cameras.
Wow.
Ridley, he says...
They trained for 6 months and then filmed for, like, just under 2 months?
And the reason why it went so quick is Ridley, he's like, I'm the master of organized chaos. He had said this. He's like, I literally He says, if I can organize a set as big as Gladiator 1, he's like, I can organize 11 cameras.
Sure.
So each scene, 11 cameras per scene, 4 scenes a day.
That's incredible.
Right? 85 years old, 11 cameras.
He gets it done.
4 scenes a day. And
He
even
gets the work done.
Connie
Nielsen?
Connie Nielsen, who played
Lucilla?
Lucilla. She was speaking so highly of him. Everybody spoke so highly of Ridley. And every interview that you watch, they are so inspired.
They love him. I know. I love the way Pedro said that there's a lot of stars shining on the set, but no star shines as bright as Ridley.
Yes, I had that. And I'm like, he worked so closely. I love directors that work so closely with you as an actor that you basically end up, you are like friends, your family by the end of it, like, because you understand each other and you do the best you can to make their vision come to life. And it was just, what did Connie say? She said he was so inspiring and a visionary. Like, he was just an 85-year-old visionary. Just imagine getting a call from Ridley Scott. Going, are you interested? Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes. No. What else did I have so
And it's
much.
true. I mean, like, there's one word for this movie, and it's epic. And
Paul even says that.
And, the first movie is a modern classic. You cannot top that movie. But I think what Ridley Scott achieved with Gladiator 2 was making the movie he wanted to make 20 years ago and achieving that, because it's bigger, it's bloodier, it's funnier, it's just epic.
It's just so good. Well, and what I love is that the first one is very hard to beat. If you are a fan of the first one, I was worried that they were going to try and top it. And because that never works out well for sequels, in my opinion. But when I was watching it, I'm like, they aren't trying to top it in the slightest. They were trying to do honor by it.
Definitely.
And the fact that it, a lot of it was, even like the first 5 minutes of the movie was this artistic animation, like of drawings. It was like drawings of a storyboard.
I really love that opening.
Of the first movie, and it was like Maximus. So you saw Maximus, you saw kind of like what had happened in the past.
It was like
that had
recapping
led
the
to
first
future.
movie
Yeah.
in like oil paintings.
In oil paintings.
You know what my take on that was? And this is my film student approach.
Okay.
But it's the way that art gives us an outlet to recount our stories. And it was almost like that oil painting opening was like a window into what the first movie was. It's almost like the movie itself is like a little window into what actually happened. Mm-hmm. We use art as a tool to keep our stories going and alive.
Stories going.
And that's what that felt like to me.
Artists will understand that.
Yeah, I know. That might have been nonsense, but...
No, it's not nonsense. I get it.
I was like, there's got to be a deeper meaning to this.
Well, I just love that. And there were so many questions. It's like, why did it take 25 years for, a sequel to come out from Gladiator 2? And Ridley was the first one to say that. He said, first off, the first Gladiator, I think it was a DreamWorks production. And then due to financial reasons, it had turned to Paramount. They had sold, things over to Paramount. And so many scripts were written about a sequel. Like, one of them was even about, like, Maximus coming back to life and, like, going back in time. And they're like, none of them were working.
Crazy. It would have been so different.
So different. And Ridley, he says, when I direct a movie, I draw it. He says he does an entire storyboard. He draws out every shot
in detail,
not even a shot list. He just just a storyboard. He draws the movie first, and then he like, now that it's on paper, he can then translate it.
Yeah.
He
has a full vision prepared.
He's a full vision, and he says, like, when we had the right script, he knew it was like the sun. It had to be about Lucius.
Yeah, and I think what you said about how it's honoring the first film, I think the biggest theme about this movie is legacy. And I think it proves like the reason why they had to make this movie is because the whole kind of opening of the first film was Marcus Aurelius. He had this dream of Rome, you know, and when Maximus succeeds in the end of the movie, he's honoring Marcus. And since Maximus died, someone needed to continue that legacy. Lucius was bringing that dream of Rome to reality, so they needed to make the second movie to continue that legacy.
And something that just was freaking incredible was the fact that Paul Mescal had studied Russell Crowe's mannerisms as Maximus and had tried to incorporate, like, there was obviously some in the script as well, like the dirt, you know, and the fact that he stuck his sword before and then rubbed the dirt in his hands. But he said, you know, how Russell Crowe would stand. He had kind of studied that because he wanted to portray an actual, like, the son, right? And it was incredible.
Did you see the part in the script where it said, it's when he grabs the armor and the sword, and the script says, Lucius becomes Maximus.
Yes!
And Paul Mescal was kind of deciding, okay, how do I come about that? Do I, you know, and he was trying to find the line between, he was obviously paying homage to Maximus, but he also wanted to become his own character. And I guess the process of drawing the line between those two was a great challenge for him. But
it was, that I was a weeping mess. When all of a sudden he comes out wearing his father's armor. And it was like the exact armor that Russell wore. Same sword, same everything. And I'm just like... Misty-eyed! No, Raidyn was like, are you good? I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah, it was awful.
And the thing about that armor, I love how it's not only a tool to pay homage, but it actually becomes a tool in the end of the movie when Lucius fights Macrinus. You remember he cuts off his hand?
Yes.
They fight in a river. Okay, so I don't know if you know much about mythology, but there's the river Styx, which is this kind of line between the land of the living and the dead. So when you die, you kind of get ferried across the river Styx.
His wife gets on the boat in the river. Okay.
Well, yeah, but where I'm going with this is Maximus. If he died, presumably in this religion, he would have traveled through the river Styx. Now, when Macrinus is stabbing Lucius, he's in the water, but Lucius is wearing Maximus's armor, and it's almost like Maximus is like still protecting him from beyond.
No, I can't even.
It's such powerful writing, I think.
You would ask me at the end of the movie, you're like, Rachel, what is one word that you could use to describe this movie? And I had this written down because this was something Denzel had said, okay? He said, the greatest temple Rome ever built was the Coliseum, because that's what we believe in, power. And you had asked me what was a word that I could use to describe the movie at the end, and I said, powerful. Period. Powerful. And that is the truth, because everything was, you know, the Coliseum was something that, it was a main source of entertainment. Like Gaeta, the two emperors that, you know, were present in this film were Gaeta and
Caracalla.
And they were apparently horrible human beings, judging by this movie. But
clearly
horrible human beings. But no, their source of entertainment was literally just like killing people.
Yeah.
Let's take you know.
Yeah.
Put them against lions,
it's like
rhinoceroses.
exploitation. And you know, and I don't know, I'm trying to find symbols and themes to have fun with this movie, and I think what I kept thinking about was how us in the audience watching this movie, it's kind of like our Coliseum, and we're like exploiting this thing that happened in the past. Yeah. I think I just couldn't stop thinking about that. I was like, we're just like these Roman citizens watching this happen, sitting in our seats, just like eating our snacks.
Yeah.
And they just let it happen. They just like let people just murder each other for fun.
Well, I think such a powerful moment in the film was where Acacius, if I'm saying that right.
Acacius.
Yeah. He walks in. the general of the military. He walks in and into the arena, and there's 4 of his soldiers. Okay, and this is before him and Paul's character, Lucius, fight. And 4 of his soldiers, he had done the respect. He had literally put his sword over his heart, and then they all did the same. It was as if like he did not want to do this fight, and neither did they. Right. And then he ended up killing all 4 of them.
Of course.
Then Lucius comes out, and at the very end, where, you know, they had like dropped to their knees and basically said we're not fighting anymore, and Arcasius was shot to death. He had said, "Is this how you treat our heroes?
Oh,
Is
God.
this how we treat our heroes?" That was a moment where his father had also done, "Are you not entertained?"
I have that written down.
Like,
that was his Are You Entertained moment.
That was his
movie.
moment of rebellion, of complete, like, just the same personalities of each other. Like, well, not the personalities, but same fire in their souls had come out. As if, like, even when Denzel's like, "Whose head could I give you that would satisfy you?" And he says, the entire
Roman armies will do.
Yeah, will do. No, the general will do.
Yeah.
That's what he says after that.
Yeah.
The general will do.
Yeah.
I'm like, good God Almighty. No, it's. What else do I have? I want to go into music. Can we go into music?
Might cry, but you can go on.
What I love is that this is what Ridley had said to start this off. He said, "The music is language. It is the final dialogue." And Hans, the composer of the movie, he was brilliant. He said there is this one line in the script that says, "Lucius becomes Maximus." So what he did was created a new beginning to the original song, as if the new beginning is Lucius, and then blended into the old song,
right,
which was Maximus. So it was like a symbolic thing, because I remember turning to you in the theater and I'm like, they used the original song! You're looking at me, Dad. It was absolutely amazing, but I did not realize that there was a new beginning that was composed to symbolize Lucius.
Yeah, I had no idea.
It was absolutely amazing. And I know that, we're running out of time, so I might as well just jump into it. I think it's such an important part in the music. I know I said this last episode, but without music, movies would just not be.
No, it's a character. I think it adds so much to what you're seeing.
I think it's incredible what they did to bring that to life, and also the size of the orchestra. Like, if you've ever been to see a live orchestra, and you never really see them because they're pretty down low into like the pit in front of the stage if you've ever performed live. But this orchestra, I did some research and saw the size. Absolutely, like, I would have bawled my eyes out if I was in the room.
Oh, yeah. I would love to see, they do screenings of movies sometimes, and they have a live orchestra playing the music. I would love to see Gladiator with Casey.
There was, back in my hometown, they did a live screening of Birdman with a drummer.
Oh, cool.
The drums. I think it was back home. I'm not sure, but I know they did that, and it was like, I didn't go, but from people who did go, I heard that it was really cool.
Look, what's your biggest takeaway?
Honestly, I just think it is one of those movies that will make history. I do.
Modern classic.
I think it had stayed, very true to the first one, and the commitment from the actors, the love, the honor, strength and honor.
Strength and honor.
That they had for their characters. Like, I had this written down because it was something that I took as an actor, and it was absolutely true. Paul had said, you take the care that you've put into all the previous jobs you've done, and you put it into the one now. And I think it's absolutely true.
I agree.
Because I've done that. You take every role that you've had with you.
Totally.
They stick with you.
Yeah.
Because you put so much work and time, and they're a part of your heart. So
I love that.
And
it's a great statement.
Everyone had spoke so highly of being on that set and creating the masterpiece that they did, and I think they all should be extremely proud.
I love the cast. I love the characters. I kept saying this. This is a movie I would just love to be a part of.
Oh, I would pay every dime I had just to be
so
a part
many.
of it.
Oh my god.
Well, and even like Connie Nielsen was the one of the only original cast members that was involved from the first movie. It was her.
She hasn't aged a day either.
I know, but it was just phenomenal that they took a lot from the first movie to do honor by it while creating a new story about the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just did, everything was so well done.
Yeah, I gotta give kudos to Pedro Pascal, Connie Nielsen, Denzel. We were always saying, so Paul Mescal, that's his first big one. Joseph Quinn, who played Gaeta, it's also his first major Hollywood film. And Fred, both theater kids doing big movies, so I'm so happy for them, and I want to see them in more stuff.
All did absolutely phenomenal, so yeah, I want to see them in more stuff too.
So I would say, I gave Gladiator 2 eight Gladiuses out of 10 Gladiuses.
8 out of 10?
8 out of 10.
That's it?
Yeah, because I'm still... Well, look, I love the first one, and I'm gonna love it.
I don't know. Well, do you know what? Okay, I understand. Gladiator 1 is like a 10. This one is like 9.8 for me. Yeah. But our producer's giving us we gotta wrap it up, so...
I'm giving you the wrap it up?
You did.
I did.
But I've had such a good time, and thank you guys for tuning in. Next one we're going to be doing here pretty soon, so make sure to tune in. We should cheers on that. That was a pretty powerful movie to get through. So anyway, guys.
I hope you watch the movie. I hope you like the movie.
Enjoy it. It's worth it. Anyway.
Until next time.
I'm Rachel Stillings.
I'm Raidyn Broadhagen.
And
that's a wrap.